might. And so Metin went into his bag, and little did they know, went into his bag and whipped out this semi-automatic shotgun, pointed it at him, and suddenly, oh, we're only joking, we're only joking.
So they were not taking him to the cleaners.
Yeah, so Metin he won't let you off with stuff like that. You know, so Metin headed off after putting the wind up there. And when I went down the next day, because the weather just was terrible all night, the snow didn't stop all night long, and the next day the wind was getting up and it was getting really cold, and I just called the whole thing off. I headed off back down, and I met the same shepherds. I went to the same shepherd camp, and they were good, nice hospitality. And I mentioned Metin. Oh, Metin, he's a good friend of mine.
And you got to the bottom and then Metin was telling you all about it.
Metin told me later on. You know, I actually had to wrestle another shepherd after that. There's dogs waiting for me. I came to a village after walking about 15 miles, came to this village, and these 3 dogs came bounding out. And I had this blank firing gun with me, and I hit rip. Bam! Wah, wah, wah. And then later on after that, I was walking along, and this shepherd came down the hill shouting, "Backsheesh, backsheesh." That means
this morning?
that very day.
Aye.
That was at night. That was me just heading back to Dover. Backsheesh means payment.
Aye.
Or tip.
Aye.
And I'm thinking, oh, where are you going? You're not penny off me, pal. And he came up, "Go on, what are you doing here? You've got no permission to be here." It's all in Turkish, you know. And I'm saying, well, so what? Right, you give me payment, I'll tell the gendarme. Next thing he's got my ice axe. And I had to wrestle it off him. "No, I'm keeping this, or else I'll tell the gendarme." And I physically had to wrestle it off him. And I just made my way back. Wasn't too many problems after that. It was a tough day.
I know.
The stove blew up in my face on the way down. And I tell you what, I nearly had frostbite up there that day. Walking through that snow up to your waist, snow runs to your waist, I'm not kidding you. And it's not that easy. When you step in the snow, it's up to your waist, you try and get it.
It's not a bit foolhardy just to leave your guide going down on his own and just try and hope for the best.
Well, I prefer not to have the guides. They're just a nuisance anyway.
Well, that's maybe true, but
I'm telling you.
it might be handy if you can take his gun out now and again.
You know, he had a wolf sit on his head that day. That night, the first night we were there, he said, "Last night, something warm sitting against my head woke me up in the middle of the night. It was a big creature, and I was there not moving for about half an hour. And then the thing scratched itself like a dog does, and he jumped, and whatever it was ran off. And he says it was too big to be a fox, and he doesn't think it was a bear. It wasn't that big. So our conclusion was it was the wolf, the local wolf that's been killing all the sheep.
No way.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Came and leaned against his head? How did he get into his tent?
Didn't get into his tent. He had his head against the side of the tent, and the wolf was sitting on the outside of the tent.
Oh, it's sort
And the Russian guy that I'd met a week before, he'd been up there as well, and he'd put some containers to catch the rain outside of the tent. And in the middle of the night, he'd heard a noise, like a dog lapping, and he looked out his tent door, and there was a wolf drinking the water in the containers.
Oh, God, it's big.
Really?
We'd like to take on a wolf.
Well, he was used to seeing wolves anyway. It seemed
Probably
quite
the wolves are
insane.
quite...
Timid.
well, yes, I think they probably will clear off.
They're very
But
soft
not
and-
necessarily to attack
One
a woman.
They're not domestic.
One wolf would never go near a human.
No.
Might kill the sheep. There was one wolf killed 50 sheep the year before. I'd seen them with my own eyes, and wounded another 50.
In one go.
One single wolf.
Aye, but over what period of time?
One night, the shepherds went to sleep and woke up. The sheep had wandered, and there was dead sheep all over the place. In one night, and of course, when they got up, the wolf ran off. There was 500 sheep, and they'd killed that many of them and wounded that many. And the funny thing is, the ones that were dead, there was no blood on them. They killed the sheep by strangling them. And the ones that lived had all of their ears and everything ripped off. Savaged.
The ones who lived.
The ones who lived were bleeding because they'd been wounded, but the ones that were dead were strangled.
How did he strangle them? Just get the 2 paws around them and...
Bite their throat.
How
Come
does
on.
one hold on to it?
Just bite their throat.
So would he just have killed them and then hopefully they would leave them on the mountain and then take them back
I
himself?
doubt if he had that plan. I suppose it's a bit like you walking down the street and you find a £50 note. Whoa! What? Another one. He was just having a killing spree.
Yeah, but it's quite often that they don't do that sort of things. I mean, well, some creatures do, but I mean, there are a lot of animals that just only kill to feed themselves and then just leave off, like a lion. They wouldn't kill 10 zebras.
Dogs
and
tend to be different.
But
it's maybe
lions don't get the opportunity to kill 10 zebras. To catch one is a big task. But I'm sure if they walked into a pen of zebras and they were able to kill 100, they probably would kill 100 in one go. They'd probably just have a killing spree like the wolf. The wolf isn't used to getting access to that many sheep. But when there's a pack of wolves, they're dangerous though. That time of year, the wolves are solo.
Oh, right.
But they eat humans up there quite regularly.
They eat humans?
They eat people quite regularly during the winter.
You mean dead ones? Or
No, they
kill people?
People that get into a dangerous situation, they eat them. Actually, don't just kill them, they consume them. All they find is blood-stained, ragged clothes where they've got a person. Yeah. They were telling me about specific incidents where people have been killed. One soldier was up there on guard somewhere, and all they found was I think a boot. I don't think food was in it at all, just a blood-stained boot.
Had to get the food out.
I don't know, maybe the food was in it, I don't know. But they would have ripped the leather to get the food. But there was another one just last year or the year before where a woman went down to the toilet with her 2 children, 2 infants, and 3 of them were eaten. So it just happened to be a pack of wolves in the area.
Just attack.
Only a pack will attack anybody.
Never, a single wolf will never dream of attacking a human. See, it's a hard life being a wolf, and if they're going to be attacking humans all the time, they're going to...
They know they're just going after them. So they're
Pure
just
desperation if they're going after humans. It's only in winter time they'll do that, when they're really hungry, and the sheep are off the mountain. It's nothing to eat. They'll eat whatever they can get. And if they can find a human, they'll eat a human. It's the last resort for the wolves. The poor lorry driver, his lorry wouldn't go because of the cold, and he phoned up his wife, said he was going to be late home. It was the last year or so. He was eaten. The roads are really dangerous at night.
You should have just stayed in the lorry.
Oh, that was down on the roadside.
Well, he was trying to get the lorry going.
And
Of course,
was-
and the next thing they got... See, they don't give warning, they'll sneak up on people. I was speaking to one guy who was bitten,
Yeah.
and he not only was he attacked by wolves, it was one day in March when he thought that the wolf danger was over, but it was a really misty day, and he was counting the sheep, and he says the next thing he felt this thing biting his leg, and there was a pack of them, and he was whacking them with a stick and shouting for help, and it was the other shepherd running up with his dogs that scared the wolves off, but he would have been killed otherwise. He was badly savaged. He actually saw another shepherd getting eaten at a range of about 400 yards, and he couldn't do a thing about it. You could tell he was sort of a bit, didn't like to admit that too much, but what could he do? He says, and he saw what the wolves were doing. There was snow all over the ground, and there was wolves in front of the guy, kicking snow in the guy's face. They had their backs to him, kicking snow in his face, and the other ones pounced from behind. So they're cunning. And Metten says he saw a wolf taking away a sheep, and what it did was, it climbed on the back of the sheep, it mounted the sheep, and put its tail between the sheep's legs, and made it walk away up the mountain.